morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Bitaji. Good morning, dear. So, good morning, friends. Welcome back to another session of BECS, that is Business English and Communication Skills, wherein we were talking about the concept related to report writing. If you remember, we have discussed about the different types of report writing, the important essentials that we have to keep in our mind when we are talking about report writing. We also discussed about the structure. And then, if we want to create a good impression through the reports that we are presenting or the project report that we are preparing, we should always remember or emphasize on finding the information, evaluating the information, and then processing the information in the right way. So, in today's class, we are going to talk about data collection. Okay, this is very, very important because every one of you, whosoever is pursuing PGDM course, directly or indirectly, you people will be asked to collect the data. The data that we collect is very, very important, and we should know how to filter the data, how to sort the data, how to identify which data is good, which data is not that important. So how do you clean it? How do you sanitize it? These are very, very important. And as a student of management, it is very important because your data will fetch you with the prospect, with the number of clients. So data is very important, particularly in the life of management or in the life of the managers, future managers. So when we talk about data, as we were discussing, whenever we are presenting any kind of report, the report that we present, the information that we are providing would be either qualitative or quantitative. I hope everybody remembers these two words when we were discussing about the two concepts, that is qualitative and quantitative. When we talk about study methodology, the method that we apply can help us to pool the information, to gather the information from different resources. These data or these information can be presented through tables, charts, and the other numerical ways of representation, which can be again called as infographic. Whenever any information is shared with the help of graph, that is called as infographic. If there is a picture to represent the information or to represent the graph, then it is called as pictograph. So these are good words which management students must always keep in your memory. So don't forget about the two words, that is infographic and pictographic. Graphic is through the graphical designing, could be graph, could be charts, could be any picture. And whenever the information is shared in the form of graphics so that people could understand easily, we will be using either the pictographic or infographic. I don't know how many of you are regular viewers of YouTube. These days, whenever they want to explain about any new concept, so they share the infographics. They are different ways of sharing the infographic, right? So you should know about the utilization of infographic. So the concept related to sharing the information could be quantitative or qualitative. The qualitative says that whatever information is there, you are presenting in sentences, you are presenting in words, you are presenting in paragraph, wherein you are using appropriate sentences, right words, meaningful sentences, so that people can understand. Always remember, it should be short, simple, and straightforward so that the reader can understand it easily. The moment once when we talk about qualitative or quantitative, can be identified or can be drafted, can be compiled, can be assembled when we have data. Unless and until if we do not have data, how will we be able to present the information either in qualitative or quantitative? Say, for example, you want to write a paragraph. The paragraph must have some base, isn't it? That base will be created or generated with the help of data that you're going to collect. Please remember, data is a plural word. The singular word of data is datum. So whenever we are talking about data, data is very, very important, and we can collect the data from different sources. There are different ways in which the data could be collected. Now you can see on the top, there are two important methods. One is the primary and the other one is secondary. Now, when we are collecting information from the first source, that is directly from the people, directly from the sources, directly from the concerned personalities, then it is called as primary source. When we are collecting or gathering information through some other channel, through some other mode, through some other resources, then it is called as secondary. So when we talk about primary, right now you all are attending classes related to business English and communication skill. And today we are discussing about data collection. Now, after listening to me, in case if you have any doubt, you may refer to certain textbooks, you may refer to certain other people, you may even watch videos related to data, isn't it? So please remember that when we talk about data, whenever we are collecting information, right from the first hand or from the first sources, that is called as primary. The information that you are gaining right now through online class is primary. If you cannot understand these concepts, and when you have to watch the video once again, when you have to once again read the books, when you have to watch some other videos, or when you have to refer some other journal information, or let's say for example you are not satisfied with whatever I am explaining, and then you refer some certain other reference book. So what are you doing? You are collecting the information from the secondary sources. So I hope everybody could understand the difference between primary and secondary. Primary is first hand. When you want to take admission at ISM, when you visit ISM, when you inquire directly from the admission officers, that is called as primary. In case if you did not visit ISM, if you have taken admission through some other resources, say for example, your family friends have told you, or there is a teacher who had inspired you, or there is a mentor who had inspired you to take admission at ISM, wherein you did not even come, you don't even know the faculty, and you don't even know much about the college, that is secondary. So please remember the difference between primary and secondary. The point one that we all should keep in our mind is the data that we are talking, the collection of data may happen in two ways. It could be collected through primary sources, it could be collected through secondary sources. All right. So I hope everybody could understand the difference, the basic difference between primary sources and secondary sources. If we say primary sources, it is first-hand information. Whenever we say secondary sources, we are talking about gathering information, collecting information, pooling information from certain relevant sources. All right. Please remember the word relevant. Irrelevant will again spoil your effort. It will be useless even if you have collected lots of information. But if it was irrelevant, what is going to happen? You are going to suffer. You may have to once again do all the activities right from the scratch. So keep this in your mind. Collecting or gathering information, particularly when we talk about the secondary sources, from relevant sources is very, very important. So can I get quickly in the chat box the differences that we have identified, the differences that we could understand related to primary and secondary? When we say primary, it is first hand. When we talk about secondary, it is second hand. So how many of you have practiced primary sources? Have you collected any data directly from the people? If yes, quickly in the chat box. Yes. YES, yes, quickly in the chat box. Anytime during the course of your graduation, or maybe during your 10th or 11th classes, or maybe even in 9th and 10th, have you collected the data? Like how many of you have collected funds for the needy people? Have you collected funds for the needy people, wherein the organizations used to give you a paper in which you had to collect the name of the person, the amount that they want to donate, and their mobile number, right? So what were you doing? You started collecting, you were gathering the primary sources. And what about the presentation? How many of you have prepared presentations? Write I, so that I'll understand that yes, these are the students who are good in PowerPoint presentation. Just write I. So if you know how to prepare PowerPoint presentation, now did you prepare any PowerPoint presentation by looking for the information, by searching for the information from the different websites? from the different websites? Did you use the different resources? Probably you might have used somebody else's PowerPoint presentation. You might have made necessary arrangements or changes, and then you might have tweaked the information into it, and you might have named it as your own presentation. You all must have done this. The resources that you were using was secondary. So I hope everybody could understand primary and secondary resources. Now, the most important thing that we have to keep in our mind is primary resources, though the information that we get is absolutely neat, clear, filtered one, but it is too costly, it is time consuming, and we can collect very less information in a given period of time. These are the three major challenges. Every management student must keep this in their mind, that whenever we talk about the primary sources, collection of primary sources is a time consuming process, is a time taking process. All right. Second, it's a costly affair. It involves lots of cost because you have to travel a lot, you have to gain the information from the person directly. So it will be time consuming, it will be a time taking process, cost consumption will be high, and at the same time you cannot pool lots of information, because again, you will have to wait for a longer period of time if you really want to gather lots and lots of information. Whereas when we talk about secondary sources, opposite of the primary would become secondary. When we talk about time, in a very short duration, in a very short period of time, you can gather lots of information. When we talk about costing, it is very effective in cost when compared to the primary sources. And then in a very short period of time, you can gather lots and lots of information. So keep these in your mind, that whenever we talk about the primary sources and secondary sources, based on the product and its requirements. Say, for example, if your organization is a very small one and it is capturing, or it is tapping only Patna, if your organization is launching a new product, and it will be initiated only in Patna. So what kind of source are you going to gather? Will you go for secondary or will you go for primary? My question to all the students, the future managers, say you are working in an organization, you're working with HUL, and they are launching a new product, and that product will be launched only and only in Patna. So are you going to gather primary sources or secondary sources? What is your opinion? Quickly. In the chat box, I'm waiting for your responses, please. Will you collect primary source or secondary source? Silky says primary, okay. Ranjan again says primary. Do not copy paste, dear. I hope everybody is able to see the slide that is shared, and then you can even check the spelling. This is once again a big problem with you all, that you people have the habit of copying and pasting. You want to save time, but that is not saving time. In fact, it is showing your negligence. So I'll appreciate if you can avoid that negligence and then present the right information. So I can see everybody talking about primary sources. Now, if I say the same information, now the information that you want to collect related to Patna, you have to present in just 2 days. In just 2 days. Will it be possible for you to go for primary sources? Can you tap each and every corner of Patna through primary sources? No. Simran Kumari rightly stated that immediately you're going to switch to secondary. Why are you switching to secondary? Quickly, what is the reason? What is the reason? Why are you switching from primary to secondary? Very good, Simran. Yes, it is because of the time. The duration that is given in order to pool the information, in order to gather the information, is very less. Hence, what is happening? You have to be you have to really be attached with the timelines. You have to follow the deadlines that are mentioned or shared by your seniors. So you are going to apply secondary sources rather than going with primary. So is the concept of primary and secondary clear? So don't get confused. If somebody says, I'll go with primary, you have to check even its viability, whether it is feasible or not. Can we really go for primary sources? Do we have that much of time? Do we have that much of funds or the budget that is allotted? Or can we go for secondary sources? All right, that this is something which is very important, particularly from the management point of view. As a managers, you should think twice. whether to go with primary sources or to go with secondary. Based on the time, based on the cost, you people are going to choose to either go with primary or secondary. All right. Now let us talk about the primary sources. What are the ways in which we can collect or we can gather the information, particularly through primary sources? The first one is questionnaire. Questionnaire means set of questions that are handed over to the participant or to the person from whom we want the answers or we want the opinion. How many of you have given feedback? Did you share feedback anytime till date? Related to anything, could be related to the online purchase, could be related to the food that you had eaten in one of the best restaurant, could be anything. So I see lot many yes. So Ranbir says yes, he had shared the information. Simran, Fareed, Aradhna, Sunny, Shubham, Silky, you all have shared feedback. Now in the feedback you will see same kind of questions are asked to every participant, isn't it? There is a set of questions that is asked to all. All right. They don't see, they will not change the questions. They will share the same kind of question to all the participants. When you are sharing a set of questions to the people so that you can collect the information, that is called as questionnaire. These questionnaires, if the person is directly available, if the person is there in front of you, if there is a face-to-face interaction, you're going to collect it, and it is very easy for you to get even the information instantly. But in case if you do not have the person, say for example you have purchased your mobile phone, you have purchased a new laptop, you have purchased a new bike, and in the form you will share your email address. After the month, probably after 15 days, you will receive an email from the company saying that share your feedback or share your experience with us, and they will email it to you. All right. So questionnaires can be emailed, questionnaires can be shared to the person directly so that you can collect the information. Please remember, they are like question. How many of you have appeared for examinations? Any kind of examination. Did you appear for exams? Thank you, Shubham. So what about the others? Are you thinking? Okay. So I see like you people taking time. So don't you remember when you people have taken your exams? All right. So as everybody has taken up the exams, you will see if you are a student of BTech, if you are a student of BSc, if you are a student of BDM, or if you are a student of BCom, same set of questions will be asked to all the students of one single university, isn't it? They are sharing a questionnaire. Based on the questionnaire, the respondent will answer, and based on their answers, they will be evaluated. All right. So keep this in your mind that questionnaires are very common to judge, to evaluate, to collect the feedback, to know about lot many things. So this is a common practice which is applied not from the 20, like you cannot say that it is applicable only in 21st century. Way back in 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, like I don't know from when we have started, but yes, questionnaires are very, very important, and they help us to evaluate, to know about the responses from the respondent. I hope everybody could understand about questionnaire. Moving ahead, when we talk about interview, now there is a difference between questionnaire and interview. In questionnaire, we just share the list of the questions and we wait for response. Whereas in interview, we have face-to-face interaction. Always remember, there is a person having words or sharing the information or waiting for the response from the respondent. It could be one-to-one, many-to-one, or one-to-many. Please remember, sometimes it may happen that there is one interviewer and one interviewee. That is one-to-one interaction. In some situations, there can be a panel who is going to conduct the interview process. There are three or four people who are taking the interview, who are conducting the interview, and there is one respondent. And in certain cases, it may happen that there are a couple of interviewees who will be sitting together, and then there will be one panelist. Do you all know about group discussion? Have you heard about group discussions anytime? Did you like participate in any of the group discussions? Now Shubham says that yes, he had participated. You might have observed, Shubham, that there will be lot many people who are participating in group discussion, and then at one single go many can get eliminated, isn't it? One person conducting interview process of many, right? So the interview is always face to face. During the COVID time, right now, when we talk about the technology, because of the use of the technology, these face-to-face interviews are also shifted to technology. That is, wherein you are using the technology. Video conferencing is one of the part. Using Skype, Microsoft Teams, Zoom. There are other lot many channels through which there can be lot many mediums through which you can conduct the interview. Could be telephone, could be video, could be like personal interaction over WhatsApp. So there are different ways in which the interviews are conducted, but always remember there is face to face. A question will be asked, they wait for the response. Once when the response is heard, then they'll ask the other question. Whereas in questionnaire, we don't wait for the responses and then we don't ask the second question. What do? We give them a set of questions and then we get the set of answers. Whereas in interview, we share the questions one after the other. We will ask first question, get the answer, then we ask second question. Get the answer, then we ask third question. So keep this in your mind that interview and questionnaire, though they are asking questions, but in questionnaire, all the set of questions will be shared at one single go, whereas in interview, based on the response, the other that interviewer will be asking the other questions. Now, the questions that we are asking could be structured or unstructured. Now, let us understand what is structured and unstructured. Structured are those where same questions are asked to all. Unstructured means different question to different candidate. Can you all give me one question which is a structured question and which is asked to each and every candidate? Quickly, let me see how many of you are really aware of interview processes. One common question that is asked to everyone. One common question that is asked to everyone. Very good, Simran. Introduce yourself, isn't it? Tell me something about yourself. And then you talk about intro part, right? Let us talk about this in detail in future classes. But right now, for you all to keep this in your mind, never ever use myself. I don't know how many of you are really good in Hindi, but can I get the exact word meaning of myself in Hindi? I want to know what do we what is the Hindi word for myself? I believe everybody is very good in Hindi, isn't it? And Hindi being your mother tongue. Okay, Ranveer Rana talks about hobby. Very good. Yes, this is a subject, a structured way. People may ask about hobbies, but my question is related to myself, dear. I want a Hindi word. What is the Hindi word for the word myself? Okay, you can Google it. Khud, Swayam. All right. Now, okay, can we introduce ourselves by saying Khud Niru, Swayam Niru? Chanchal, can you say yourself as Swayam Niru? No, apne bare mein, whenever you are talking about apne bare mein, you are not going to say that apne bare mein batate hue. You cannot use these sentences, isn't it? So keep this in your mind that never ever say myself when you are introducing yourself. Okay, my name is. Okay, you should always remember this. खुद के बारे में again you cannot use खुद के बारे में बताते हुए मैं आपको ये बता रहा हूँ. No, you cannot use this, right? So myself is a wrong word when you are introducing. Always remember this. While introducing yourself, this is Simran. You are not an object. You are a living being. So therefore, yes, of course, you must have heard the radio jockeys using. This is Simran signing off from Radio Mirchi. You may use the sentence. But when you are present, when a person can see you in original. So yes, of course, you should say, I am Naveen. Very good. Yes, my name is Shubham Anand. Yes, you can say, even in that way you can introduce yourself. But avoid dash. What is to be avoided? What is to be avoided? Now, myself should be avoided. Very good, Aradhana. Reason being, this one single word will show people that how good you are in your communication skill. Could you all understand? So that is the reason why during interviews, people will always keep on telling you that you should be more thoughtful, you should be more sensible, like you have to prepare your speech. And when you are preparing your speech, know the right words that is to be included. So moving towards the question, as rightly stated, hobby could be one of the common question that could be asked to everyone. Introduction can be one of the common questions that could be asked to everyone. Your future goals can be a common question that could be asked to everyone, isn't it? But when we talk about structured and then difference from structured to unstructured, you all are students of PGDM. Now, if you talk about your specialization, some may opt marketing as your major specialization, some may opt finance as your major specialization, some may opt human resource management as your major specialization, some may opt information system as your major specialization. Now, based on your major specialization, people may ask you different questions, isn't it? Now, if you're a student of marketing, questions would be asked related to marketing. If you're a student of finance, questions would be asked related to finance. If you're a student of HR, students will be asked things related to HR. And similarly, if you have done proficiency in information system, people will want to know more from you about information system. So the questions that are asked based on your subjects that you have studied, based on your interest areas, particularly in specialization area, particularly when I talk about your internship, you all will do your internship. But when you are doing your internship, you may do it from different companies. Your projects will vary from your friend. So therefore, the questions that are related to internship, that is summer internship project SIP, will be again unstructured. So I hope everybody could understand the difference between structured interview and unstructured interview. So did I clear your doubt related to questionnaire and interview? Now, you should know what is the difference between questionnaire and interview. All right. So if you know what is interviewing and what is questionnaire, quickly write down IQ. If you have any doubt, don't hesitate in asking the doubts. Thank you, Ranbir, for giving that quick IQ. Silky, thank you very much. Fareed, thank you. Shubham, thank you. Because I believe everybody is paying very keen attention towards understanding these concepts, right? Thanks, Simran. Thanks, Jyotsna. Thanks, Sunny. Thanks, Aradhana, for sharing that information. Please remember, these are very, very important. And as a management students, you all are going to use all these. And then comes observation. How many of you have observed the different events? Do you watch cricket? Is there any candidate who likes playing cricket? Do you all watch cricket? Everybody, right? Yesterday, India has won the first T20 match. It was such a good thing, isn't it? So even if you don't like it, but you must have seen during the cricket season, or whenever there is a season called T20, everybody, you like it or you dislike it, you will see that in your house, particularly your brothers or your family members, they keep watching the matches, even if you don't like, but still you have to observe, isn't it? Observation is the third part of primary sources. How many of you have done experiments? Now, when I talk about experiments, you must have seen many a times we are non-participant. When your teacher, particularly when you talk about biology classes, if I talk about zoology or if I talk about the chemistry classes, the experiments that are done by the teacher, what do they do? It is the teacher who will demonstrate, and you all are asked to watch it very carefully, isn't it? So how do you learn those experiments? You are learning by non-participating through your observation. Could you all understand the difference between participant and non-participant? Participant, where you are giving your 100% effort. Say, for example, when you are in a competition, how many of you are participated in annual day function? When you are participating in the function, you are a part of it. So you are participant. So you observe each and everything. But when you are a non-participant, even though you are not participating, but still you will come to know what has happened, how it will take place, which activity, which event is going to line up in which order, everything will be known to you. So keep this in your mind. Observations are again very, very important. They are again primary sources. Lots and lots of information we always gather through our observation. May not be necessary that every time we are participant, even by non-participation, we can observe and we can learn. How many of you have attended seminar, conferences, probably not when you are a part of PGDM, because we are going to start a series of expert lecture talks from second week of December. But when you are a student of graduation, or when you have done your class 11th and 12th or 10th, how many of you have attended any of the conference or seminar? The seminars or the conferences that you have attended or you were a part of, you might have seen your teachers deliver the information and you just listen to it. While listening, you observe. While listening, you gain knowledge. And that is called as non-participant. So keep this in your mind here, that whenever we talk about observation, can be, yes, it is possible that you can gain information by participating, even by non-participating. By indirect participation, you can still gain the relevant knowledge and information. So is the concept primary sources clear with everyone? Questionnaire, interviewing, and observation. These are the three ways, these are the three prime ways in which we can collect the primary sources. One is questionnaire, the second is interviewing, and the third is observation. Now, the next is secondary. You can see secondary, it talks about the information that is documented. Now, when we say documented, that means it is written source. It is a source which is either recorded. Say, for example, how many of you watch the motivational videos of different personalities? When I talk about Vivek Bindra, or if I talk about the personalities like Sandeep Maheshwari, do you all have the habit of watching those motivational videos? When you watch those videos, you get inspired, isn't it? Is Sandeep Maheshwari talking directly to you? Is Vivek Bindra talking directly to you? Yes or no? Is the person talking directly to you? No. But still, do you gain interest? Do you get that positive vibes whenever you are watching those videos? Do you get that positive vibes? Yes, Aradhana says yes, that she gets inspired. So again, Sunny Kumari, she says that she gets inspired whenever she watches such kind of movie or such kind of motivational talks. So whenever you are even watching videos which are recorded, which are uploaded, which is not directly stated to you all, but indirectly, when you are gathering the information, that is a part of secondary sources. So there are government publications. Say, for example, when I talk about the national income of India, how will my managers will come to know what is the GDP of India in 1950s, then in 1960s, what was the GDP, 1970s, what was the GDP, 2000, what was the GDP, 2010, what was the GDP, and 2020, what is the GDP? How will we get the information? From where will we get the information? From the archives, from the stored information which is there done by the government. All right. So keep this in your mind. There are lots and lots of resources which are stored on the different websites. There are lots of information which are again reserved by the researchers. There are lots of research paper. How many of you know the word called journal? I'm not talking about general. I'm using the word journal, Journal. Journals are those which are written by the research scholars, wherein they talk about the research papers and then they talk about the problems and then solution to those particular problems. So those research papers, the journals, are again very important. Newspaper, is it a primary source or secondary source, dear? Newspaper, reading newspaper. Reading newspaper, will that be a primary source or secondary source? Yes, it is a secondary source, isn't it? Why? Because it is not you who is gathering the information. It is a reporter who gathers the information, editor who edits it, and then as a reader, we get the information. Right? So secondary sources could be the publication, the researches, the census. When we talk about the population in 1950, we had a handful of population, but population explosion, the rate at which the population is increasing is really alarming. And so we have to have a control over it. So the census will again talk about the growth in the population, and that is again one of the major elements that every management student must know. Why? Because if there is more population, in order to fulfill their basic requirement, I'm not talking about only food, clothing, and shelter. Apart from food, clothing, and shelter, there can be lot many things which are required by the common people. So you can see what is the product that is required by them, what are the options that are available with us, wherein we can enter into the segment of manufacturing, or we can turn as entrepreneur. So you should keep these in your mind. That is the reason why census, personal records. When I talk about personal records, autobiographies, biographies, these are the personal records. The important chronicles. I don't know how many of you know what is a chronicle. Chronicle is the information that are shared on each and every date. How many of you know about this concept called Man Ki Baat by Prime Minister Narendra Modi? Did you hear, did you watch any time, or did you at least listen to it on radio? So since 2014, if you want, you can hear all the like all the every month. So for example, whenever I talk about this particular concept called Man Ki Baat, every month Narendra Modi ji, our Prime Minister, he talks about all the important things that are done in that particular month. So it's a record, it's a kind of a diary, it's a kind of a chronicle which talks about whatever important things that had happened in that particular month are captured by the Prime Minister. And all these records are available in written form, even in video form, as well as in audio form. So again, it talks about the personal records, the client histories, service records. Say, for example, when you start working in an organization, so you get an offer letter, you start working every day, you have to mark your attendance, every day you will share the daily reports, every day you're going to share the information. So again, those are the parts of your service which talks about your record. So keep this in your mind that whenever we are talking about data collection, it is done primarily in two different ways, through primary sources and secondary sources. I hope everybody could get the clarity related to the differences between primary and secondary. In case if you have doubts, I request you all to please share your doubts so that I can clear them. So Aradhana, I hope you have no doubts. Silky Kumari, you stated that you have no doubt. Rest others, are you clear with the concept of primary sources and secondary sources? Yes, thank you, Aradhana. Thanks, Sunny, for giving me that confirmation, dear. Thanks, Dayakant. Thanks, Shubham. Thanks, Jyotsna. Thanks, Farid. Thanks, Ranjan. All right. So with this, we are going to finish off this particular concept related to, thank you, Jyotsna. Thanks, Ranvirana. With this, we are finishing off the concept called as report writing and data collection. All right. Further, we are going to talk about abstract, summary, and then proposal. These are the next 2 to 3 concepts that we are going to finish it off in the next week. All right. Meanwhile, I'll appreciate by today evening, everyone, the one who did not submit, I'm not talking to those who have already submitted, I will be returning your assignments by today evening. By 3 o'clock, I must receive the assignments from all those students who did not post it on the classroom code. Rest others, thank you very much for joining this particular class, for attending this session, and please keep revising. God bless you all, dear. Have a great weekend. Take care of yourself. Bye, everyone.